What's up, Fort Worth family? It's the kid FortWorthFabian, man. BigBossFabo. I'm back with the video for you guys today. I'm doing a live stream reaction right now. Why? Because I wanted to. I've been doing a lot of different forms of content on the channel, switching it up. Trial and error, doing a lot of different things, man. And if you rock with me, I appreciate people that are patient with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be one-faceted. To all the new subscribers, I plan on growing this platform in every direction it can possibly go. So when you see different reactions, like, that's to be expected. I'm not gonna stay in one lane and keep doing the same thing over and over again just to address the naysayers. You know what I mean? So if there's certain content you don't like, don't watch it. Point blank. Period. You know what I mean? But if you rock with me and support me as an individual and me and what I'm doing, then yeah, like, I appreciate the support. But I need to address, people wondering why content's changing, because like the content I did last year isn't the content I'm doing now. Just not even, aside from just music stuff. Like, I was reacting to a lot of Queen, a lot of Elvis about a year ago, and like, I do a lot of ABBA now, so it's like for the ABBA supporters to be like, hey man, we want you to get back to what you've been doing. Like, I appreciate you coming along for the journey, but it's like I've continuously evolved and changed, and that should be expected. I'm not going to grow on this platform by continuously doing the same thing over and over again. And I definitely wanted to mention that. It's all good though. Much love, much respect to everybody. I definitely just want to keep growing. And so today is one of those videos to where I do plan on just being live, hanging out, chilling with everybody. We're doing places you're not allowed to visit, Titanic mysteries, time travel evidence, and this is a weird world reaction. If you know me, this is the kind of content I like putting forth. So with that, man, let's get into this reaction. Let me give it a few seconds. I'm just going to chill and hang out for a little bit as people trickle in. If people want to join the live, I know this is an odd time. I tend to do lives at different times now. That's what I plan on doing, just to see, if, people from different parts of the world are able to join. So hit the like button if you're just in a live stream. Support me in every which shape, form, facet. You know what I mean? So let's give it a few minutes. And then I will, obviously start the live stream. So yeah, man, let's just hop into the reaction. If you join, you can always start the live stream from the point of conception, right? So with that being said, man, I appreciate everybody. Let's hop into this video reaction here. Weird World is a new dude I'm tuning into. It definitely has some interesting content as well. So let's hop into this.
Of time travel has always fascinated people, usually popularized in movies, TV shows and books. We are fixated on the events of the past, sometimes question, for example, if killing baby Hitler would have changed the course of world history for the better. But what if time travel isn't fiction? Today we'll be showcasing what could possibly be real-life evidence of time travel. These are 10 counts of possible evidence of time travel throughout history that just might change your mind. If they are not time travelers, you must admit that some are downright spooky.
They're using scenes from Time Machine, the movie.
Number 10. Woman speaking on a mobile phone. A mysterious video emerged from 1938 showing a woman speaking on a mobile phone.
Word.
Found in 2013, this footage could indicate evidence of the existence of time travel. However, her grandchildren came forward and explained, well, we asked her about this and she remembers it quite clearly. She says DuPont had a telephone communications section in the factory where she worked. Well, yes, but that does not explain what she's holding up to her face.
Look like a phone to me. But these, like the mysteries and, some of these theories associated are typically a bit outlandish. I ain't gonna lie to you. But, they do get the mind running. I'm not mad at, this compilation of possible evidence because I wouldn't say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but, talking conspiracy theory-esque is pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting debate to have. I like these kind of conversations.
Number 9, time traveller at a football game. This footage was recorded during a live football match in Uruguay. During a live football match, a shadowy figure can be seen running through an aisle at super speed.
I see that. You see him? Right here, but he's just moving at a certain rate, man. If you just joined the live stream, do me a favor, hit the like button, man. Hitting that like button only helps my content, Hey, look at Buddy.
The figure seems to be running through people at an incredible speed. Number 8, the Mohawk haircut. The Mohawk haircut didn't appear until the 1939 movie Drums Along the Mohawk, starring Henry Fonda. So it might surprise you that this photograph of a man with a Mohawk haircut is from 1905.
Really?
This haircut only gained popularity in the 1970s. So how on earth did a man from 1905 choose such a futuristic hairstyle?
I mean, come on, man. It's a mohawk. It's not even really a mohawk. You know what I mean? Mohawks tend to, spike up, stick more up in the middle. So this is kind of one that I feel like they're jumping to conclusions on. Like, come on, bro. Dude is not, really sporting that mohawk look. It's just kind of a buzz cut on the side. This one's a bit of a stretch to me.
5 choose such a futuristic hairstyle. Number 7, time traveling hipster. This is a famous photograph that started the time travel craze.
Wow.
It was taken in the early 1940s at the reopening of South Fork Bridge in Goldbridge, British Columbia. At first glance, nothing appears to be at odd with this black and white photo. However, on close inspection, a man can clearly be seen wearing sunglasses, a modern haircut, and a modern logo printed faded t-shirt and cardigan. He's also noticeably taller than the other men around him. The sunglasses weren't around that time, and notice how he seems to be holding a pocket-sized digital camera around his neck.
Notice Photoshop does exist, but notice how nobody around him is looking at him. Aside from this lady, she does seem to be looking at in his direction. But don't you think if a gentleman was wearing clothing, sporting garments, equipment from a different time period, that everybody would be looking at him in a odd type of fashion? That's just me,
Which he is holding in his hands. Could this man be a time traveller? Number 6, woman talking on a mobile phone. This footage was captured from behind the scenes of Charlie Chaplin's The Circus. A woman dressed in a black hat seems to be hiding most of her face and is holding something to her ear that looks like one of today's mobile phones. What makes it more eerie is that the woman seems to be talking to someone, even to the point where she stops to chat on the device. Number 5, Swiss watch found in...
It's funny, a lot of these were in a previous video I watched on a different channel because, specifically being the gentleman with the shades and this, mystery they're about to unfold.
Ancient Chinese tomb.
The watch.
Chinese archaeologists claim to have found a small ring in the shape of a watch in 2008, when they opened a previously undisturbed giant coffin. But it may surprise you that the coffin was in a 400-year-old tomb in Siqing in Shaanxi County, China. So how on earth did a ring that looked exactly like a Swiss watch from the present day get inside a 400-year-old tomb? This shocking discovery appeared to show a time frozen at 10:06 and Swiss engraved on the back. Could this be a sign of future time travel? Number 4. 1800s astronaut. This sculpture can be found on a pillar at Salamanca Cathedral Church in Spain. It clearly shows an astronaut, and however, you'd be surprised to hear that the church was built between the 1600s and 1800s, so well before space travel. How on earth did they carve this spaceman with his suit looking exactly like today's astronauts?
Ahead of their time.
Could this be evidence of a spaceman travelling from the future back in time? Number 3. Ancient man-made object. This next evidence of time travel comes from a mysterious prehistoric high-tech artifact. Inside this piece of rock appears to be a man-made object that looks like an indent of an industrial screw. Discovered in 2009 in the village of Sarajevo in the Moscow region of Russia, very little is known about this curious object. A similar object also found in Russia is said to be a 300 million year old aluminium gear. Some theorists believe that ancient artifacts like this are proof of support for the ancient astronauts theory. Number 2. Mysterious time traveller. The urban legend goes that during June 1950, passersby at New York City's Times Square noticed a strange-looking man of about 20 years of age, dressed in 1800s clothing, looking disoriented and confused while standing in the middle of an intersection. The man was then hit and killed by a taxi. The officials at the morgue searched his body and found the following items in his pocket: old copper tokens, a letter from 1876, business cards with the name Rudolph Fentz, and other old but new-looking documents. After investigating the man, an NYPD policeman...
An old but new-looking document. What does that look like? It's old but it's new-looking?
found that Rudolph Fentz had disappeared in 1876. Had Fentz travelled into the future by accident? Number 1. The Cape Scott Story. This photograph was discovered in a book called The Cape Scott Story by James Grant. The photo, taken in Cape Scott Park, dates back to 1917 and shows holidaymakers dressed in typical attire from that time. However, if you look closely, there is one man that clearly looks out of place. This mysterious time traveller has longish hair and is wearing a grungy t-shirt and looks more like a Nirvana fan from the 1990s. Even more eerie is that the men on either side of him seem to be staring at him in disbelief.
That right there is 10 possible evidence of time travel throughout history by Weird World, man. So this is the Weird World channel that I'm referring to. Been checking out some of their content. As you can see, it's a lot of mystery-based content, conspiracy theory content, things of that nature. So yeah, let's move on to the next video. So we have 10 forbidden places you're not allowed to visit. Be sure to hit that like button if you're new on the live stream, man. Donations are open for the channel. Show some love, show some support, hit the like button, man. So let's hop into 10 forbidden places you're not allowed to visit.
With today's transportation, it's never been more easier to travel around the globe. You would think most places would be free to the public, with locations being more and more easy to get to. From breathtaking beaches, rainforests, and hot deserts, the most beautiful places on Earth are generally only a flight, train trip, or car ride away. Yet, there are certain places where people are not allowed, or where access is limited to only a certain few. Whether it's an island literally covered in deadly animals, a hidden cave with sensitive artworks, or even secret underground bunkers. These are 10 mysterious places that people are banned from visiting.
Hey, check this out. Hey, how much money did you...
Let's skip this ad.
Number 10. The Lascaux Caves. Dating back 17,000 years, these caves include paintings of humans, animals, handprints, and geometric shapes which are eerily mesmerizing. The Lascaux Caves have not been opened to the public since 1963 due to a series of strange fungal invasions and other degradation issues. However, you can see them in documentaries, otherwise they're off limits. Number 9.
What's up with cavemen always having like some foresight? Cavemen always drew things of the future within the caves. If you go back to certain parts of the world, I'm not a geologist or a geographic specialist, but I'm just... certain parts of the world, there has been findings of a lot of cave art, drawings, etc. that depict things that weren't happening around the time, obviously, of when they detail these drawings or pieces of art to have been formed or occurred. You know what I mean? So it's like that's, I don't know, maybe they had specific visions, dreams that alluded to them, drawing things. I don't know. But it seems to have been a pattern, because even in like Egypt, that tends to be the case.
Surtsey Island. Islands can be one of the most difficult places to reach in the world. Surtsey Island is no exception. This dangerous island is intentionally off limits to the public. Known to be only a few decades old, this island only recently formed after volcanic eruptions in the 1960s.
Wow.
The only humans that are allowed to visit are scientists who stay in tiny huts. These scientists are witnessing and studying birds, seals and slugs which colonise this island. Number 8. Snake Island. If you're not a fan of snakes, it's lucky for you that you're unable to visit this place. This is a small island off the coast of Brazil and is banned from the public for safety reasons. Known as Snake Island or Ilha da Queimada Grande, it is home to 4,000 of the world's deadliest snakes, one of them being the golden lancehead pit viper.
Dang.
What's more frightening about this island is there is one snake per square metre, plus this endangered snake's venom can melt human flesh.
Wow.
Like the previous island, only scientists are allowed to visit. Number 7. North Sentinel Island. This island is in the Bay of Bengal near India and is off limits to the public. The island is home to an undocumented tribe of 50 to 400 people who drive away visitors with weapons and rocks. Keep people safe, the Indian government has declared it illegal for both tourists and Indians to go there in order to be kept safe from this mysterious tribe.
The other day I had read a story about an individual who got killed when he was visiting. He was a missionary. He went to a certain island in a certain part of the world, and I guess the nationals or the local people to that area felt threatened, and he ended up being killed. And we weren't able, as Americans, weren't able to retrieve his body because at that point they felt like they was crossing the line. It's kind of crazy though, because you have a lot of these tribes that they live by certain rules, and they're not going to really allow outsiders to infiltrate their territory or their area. But yeah, man, we got 8 people in the live stream, man. Do me that favor, hit the like button, please. Let's get to 12 likes, 15 likes, man.
Number 6. Area 51, USA. This top-secret military base and airfield is well known for its encounters with UFOs and aliens among conspiracy theorists, and is part of the Nellis Air Force Range. Located in the Nevada desert just beyond Las Vegas, its current purpose is supporting development of experimental aircraft and weapon systems. What makes this military base so sinister is the government didn't even acknowledge its official existence until 2013. With all the secrets and mysteries surrounding this facility, it's no wonder they want to keep it closed to the public. Number 5. Moscow Metro 2. This is a set of underground metro tunnels which parallel the public one, but lies beneath Moscow's existing subway system. The KGB codenamed these metro tunnels K6, and was built to connect major buildings during Stalin's Russia, and supposedly has 4 lines connecting nationally important locations. Many rumours have surfaced which include absurd theories that include giant rat testing, subterranean families, to Stalin's cryogenically frozen body. Number 4. Mount Weather.
I got a thing about like them tunnels, them railroad tunnels that are abandoned. They're creepy, bro.
The United States government established Mount Weather in 1959 between Ladue and Clark counties in Virginia. The establishment was built as a high-tech, long-term bunker for government officials in emergencies and is known to be extremely secure. The building provides 564 acres of offices, dorms, and dining rooms beneath the surface level of FEMA headquarters, with the facility's purpose of protecting the highest level of civilian and military officials in case of national disaster. It's no wonder this is banned from the public. Number 3. Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Around 800 miles from the North Pole, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault is a vast subterranean seed bank and storage facility on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen. Built 400 feet into a mountainside, the vault officially opened in February 2008 and now stores around 840,000 samples of 4,000 different species of seeds from all over the world. The seed bank is to provide a safety net against accidental loss of diversity in the case of a major global or regional event. The vault acts like a safety deposit box at the bank, allowing organisations or governments to deposit seed variations in the vault for safekeeping. Only these organisations and governments are allowed access. The facility is protected by highly advanced security systems, and access is strictly limited to a handful of employees. Number 2. Heard Island Volcano, Australia. This Antarctic island is barren and volcanic and is an Australian external territory about 2/3 of the way between Madagascar and Antarctica. It is considered to be one of the most remote places on Earth. The island's 368 square mile landmass is mountainous, which contains 41 glaciers and is also home to an array of wildlife including penguins, seals and marine birds. The University of Hawaii noticed a 2-kilometre long lava flow coming from the southwest side of Mawson's Peak in 2000. A 2,745 foot high complex volcano has been active ever since. Not only does it contain a fearsome volcano, the weather on the island is disturbingly poor.
Bro, where do penguins go when a volcano erupts? Just referring to that picture. To the picture, man. What, do they dive underwater or where do they evacuate to, man?
Access the island, it's a minimum 2-week sail to reach, making it one of the most dangerous and hardest places in the world to visit. Number 1. Poveglia, Italy. Located between Venice and Lido, within the Venetian lagoon in northern Italy. Throughout its long history, this small island has been known to be home to a fort, used as a shipping checkpoint, been a quarantine station for the bubonic plague, and since the turn of the last century, it had been used as an asylum. The psychiatric hospital was closed down in 1968, leaving the island long abandoned. The island is rumoured to have ghosts of the plague victims, war victims, and the ghost of a murderous asylum doctor
I wouldn't want to be there.
roaming the decaying grounds. The Italian government offered the island up for long-term lease, 99 years in 2014, in the hope that someone would redevelop the island. Sadly, the island is still left unopened to the public. In recent years, Italian construction crews attempted to restore the former hospital building, but unexpectedly stopped without reason.
Yeah, because they were getting played with. They were getting messed with, man. If a lot of weird things are going on, and yeah, I probably wouldn't want to stick around either, man. That's 10 forbidden places you're not allowed to visit. Weird World is kind of cool, man. They kind of run through each one of the top 10 or whatever amount of, things they have to reference. They run through them pretty quickly. Like, they don't really spend too much time, but hey, man, we do have several more reactions to hop into. I'm going to make this a habit to where I pretty much just react to 4, maybe 3 or 4 videos from one content creator's channel. And today we're doing Weird World. This live stream's pretty early. I do plan on doing another one later tonight, probably around 7 p.m., man. If you feel like joining, cool. Yeah, like this video if you're just freshly joining this live stream. Let's get to 10 likes, man. I appreciate everybody who's watching currently. Right now we're reacting to 6 unexplainable Titanic mysteries that still baffle us. I watched Titanic the other day, so this is kind of fresh in my mind. I'm still in Titanic mode. So yeah, let's hop into this, man. Should be interesting.
The details of the Titanic sinking, which resulted in the loss of more than 1,500 lives. However, after scouring the internet, we've come across some bizarre mysteries which have us scratching our heads. From amazing premonitions to compelling conspiracy theories, we'll take a look at 6 unexplainable Titanic mysteries that still baffle us.
What's up, Carrie? We got Carrie who's said what up in the chat, man. If you feel like typing in the chat, feel free to do so. Hit the like button as well.
Number 6. Mystery ship. Many survivors of the Titanic believed they could see another ship in the distance as their ship was sinking. After investigating, 2 ships were in the vicinity of Titanic when she sank. The Norwegian sealer Samson and the Californian. If coordinates were correct, the Samson was within 10 miles of Titanic's position as the ship was sinking. Crewman Hendrik Bekeithon Nice, who was on board the Samson, claimed that they saw the distress signals of the Titanic.
Wow.
However, due to the Samson's illegal activities, they misinterpreted the Titanic's rockets being fired off as a signal to warn off the Samson. The Samson ship ended up sailing away in order to avoid detection. However,
that's crazy. So it is factual. 2 ships were in the vicinity of the Titanic at its time of sinking. So potentially several thousand other people could be saved.
This story still remains speculation and was never fully verified.
Speculation?
Number 5. W.T. Stead. William Thomas Stead was an influential writer in Britain and wrote many influential articles that changed the government in Britain. One mysterious part of his life includes an article he wrote for the Pall Mall Gazette titled How the Mail Steamer Went Down in Mid-Atlantic by a Survivor. This piece tells a story of an RMS or Royal Mail Service ship colliding with another ship, which kills many on board due to insufficient lifeboats. As a side note, he added, "This is exactly what might take place and what will take place if the liners are sent off to the sea short of boats." He then wrote a second similar story. In it, a White Star liner ship called the Majestic rescues survivors of another ship that collided with an iceberg. It is because of these stories that many believe that W.T. Stead had psychic abilities. However, what makes them even more creepy is that W.T. Stead was actually on board the Titanic when it sank and perished. The day after the Titanic sank, his daughter Estelle went to a seance where her father appeared and gave details of the Titanic sinking and his own death. Number 4. Fire, not iceberg. Approximately 10 days prior to the ship's departure, a fire began in one of the Titanic's coal bunkers and continued to burn for several days into its voyage. This was nothing new, as steamships often dealt with frequent fires due to the use of coal. At the time of the sinking, fires of the Titanic had been extinguished with fire hoses and the coal had been moved to another top bunker section of the ship. However, some theorists believe that the fire exacerbated the effects of the iceberg collision by reducing the structural integrity of the hull. Sina Maloney has suggested that attempts to extinguish the fire by shoveling burning coals into the engine furnaces may have been the primary reason for the Titanic steaming at full speed prior to the collision.
Wow.
Number 3. Jesse's premonition.
I remember that scene specifically in the Titanic, obviously, right? If you remember that movie, you remember the scene of the coal workers, or the guys who shovel coal in to kind of build up that fire to get the steam going. But a very scary scene is right when they're closing the doors to that lower level, and these guys basically have to fight for their life. They're the grunt workers, you know what I mean? So it's a tough thing to think about, and there's a scene specifically where you see all the doors shut as the ship's sinking, and the reality is a lot of these guys never made it out. You know, whether they're trying to escape to a higher part of the ship, you know, the higher deck or whatever they call it. A lot of these guys, you know, taking this job was knowing that they would susceptibly may have to sacrifice their life in a certain scenario.
The Titanic steaming at full speed prior to the collision. Number 3, Jessie's premonition. A young Scottish girl by the name of Jessie Sayer lay dying on the Titanic. During one of her delirious states, her family witnessed their daughter saying, "The ship is sinking. Look at all those people who are drowning. Someone called Wally is playing a fiddle and coming to you." Sadly, Jessie passed away at 11:40 p.m. that night. 3.5 hours later, after her death, the family felt the Titanic lurch. The iceberg had hit, and their daughter's deadly premonition had come true.
What?
Jessie's family were able to make it to the lifeboat safely and survive. Months later, it was discovered that the man she had mentioned, Wally Hartley, was in fact on board the Titanic working as a bandmaster and was performing with his quartet while the ship was sinking. Number 2, J.P. Morgan. Another conspiracy theory going around at the time was that the Titanic's owner, J.P. Morgan, wanted to eliminate several prominent bankers who died on board the Titanic. These were some of the wealthiest men in the world, of whom John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus were allegedly opposed to the creation of a US central bank. J.P. Morgan had attended the Titanic's launching in 1911 and even had his own personal suite aboard the ship, with his own private promenade deck and a bath equipped with specially designed cigar holders. He was reportedly booked on the ship's maiden voyage, but cancelled the trip at the last minute, which had fueled speculation among conspiracy theorists that he knew about the Titanic's fate. Number 1, Olympic, not Titanic. Over the years there has been speculation that the sunken ship wasn't exactly the Titanic, but the Olympic, which was a near identical sister ship of the Titanic. The Olympic was the subject of a large insurance claim after the ship collided with the HMS Hawke just off the coast of the Isle of Wight the previous year. This incident caused many problems for the ship's owners, as the Olympic had to be repaired, which meant that the maiden voyage of the Titanic had to be put back from the 20th of March to the 10th of April. This was something the ship's owners could not afford,
I'm lost.
having to deal with legal bills to pay, the cost of repairs.
So how would that work out if they got a ship confused? That means the other ship would have docked, or the other ship would have made it to its destination. At that point, wouldn't you realize that, I don't know, one's the Titanic, one's not? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing what they're saying. So,
And with the Olympic being out of service, they were running out of money fast. The owners of the two ships had to make a plan, and some say the two vessels were secretly switched before the voyage, allowing the damaged ship to sink in order to claim compensation.
Okay, I guess I see what they're saying at this point now. Wow. A lot of those Titanic mysteries were people actually predicting what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So that's 6 unexplainable mysteries that still baffle us in relation to the Titanic. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this one, man. We got 7 people in the live stream. Be sure to hit that like button as you join. Let's get to 15 likes. We do have one more reaction in terms of Weird World, the Weird World channel. So with that, we got 5 unsolved mysteries that have finally been solved, man. Good thing about Weird World, he tends to kind of run through these. He doesn't really spend too much time on the details of each story, which could be a benefit to us, especially if we've seen or are familiar with a lot of these. I do a lot of unsolved mystery stuff, or I have up to this point, to where I think that maybe some of these mysteries I'm already in the loop of. But anyways, let's hop into the reaction, man. Do me a favor, hit that like button, man. Comment down below.
Sadly, many crimes can be left unsolved for years or even decades, and the culprits are never brought to justice. Today, we'll be delving into 5 unsolved cases that initially left detectives baffled for years. However, the following crimes have been unexpectedly solved in recent years. You may have even seen these unsolved mysteries on the news in the past and not realized that they have been solved. From disappearances, suicides, kidnappings, to murder, these are 5 unsolved mysteries that have finally been solved. Number 5. Laurie Ruff. In 2004, a man named Blake Ruff married the love of his life to a woman named Laurie Kennedy. Laurie was often seen as a secretive woman who refused to speak of her past. The couple later had a child. However, Laurie's behaviour put a strain on their marriage, as she would not let her in-laws have contact with their child. This behaviour eventually led to them divorcing. Unfortunately, in 2010, Laurie committed suicide, leaving her family a mysterious box that would reveal Laurie's true past. It was learned that she'd been living under a fake identity. Laurie Kennedy's name was stolen from a young woman who had died in a fire in 1988. It was soon realised that Laurie Ruff was an identity thief. However, her true origins remained a mystery until 2016. This unsolved mystery would be solved after genetic genealogist Colin Fitzpatrick signed up to help solve the case, leading police to the Cassidy family, who had a daughter named Kimberly McLean. Kimberly ran away from home in 1986 after her parents divorced. After police brought Laurie's picture to a family member, her mother cried out, "My God, that's Kimberly." A DNA match confirmed that Kimberly McLean was Laurie Ruff. Number 4. Diane Jackson. In 1969, Diane Jackson was abducted in the parking lot of her place of work and was raped, strangled and stabbed to death. She was discovered in a nearby shack when police found a fingerprint. However, they had nothing to compare it to. In 1989, 20 years later, the victim's brother David, now a police officer, decided to look into his sister's case. With more advanced technology, they were able to run the latent print from the crime scene through a database system. However, still no match was found. It wasn't until another 14 years later in 2003, FBI database technician Jill Kincaid got a hit. The computer searched through 70 million prints on file, where in just 5 hours it narrowed it down to 20 potential matches. One of these matches were of a man named James Ray Davis. After questioning the man, it was found that he had been released from prison just days prior to Jackson's murder. Over 3 decades after the death of his sister on November 24, 2003, Diane Jackson's killer confessed to the crime and is now spending the rest of his days behind bars. On Halloween in 2014, Chelsea Bruck attended the last party of her life. Dressing as Poison Ivy, she went home at around 3 a.m. with a mysterious man. No one at the party knew this man's name, and Chelsea never returned home. Shockingly, just 3 weeks after her disappearance, her body was discovered in an empty field. It took 2 years for the police to even find suspects, and on July 2016, a man by the name of Daniel Clay was arrested with his girlfriend and confessed to the crime. Even though no details have been released to the public, Clay was charged with second-degree murder and the concealment of a body. Number 2, Martha.
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. The seed repository, pretty interesting concept. We from atomic bomb period always worried about how we could and would regrow the world. Yeah, it's very interesting. And when you put it in that perspective, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, you could essentially like regrow the world in a sense, but it's like, I don't know, regreenify the world. I don't know, man. It's pretty cool. I never even knew that, you know, an establishment like that even existed, to where seeds from different plants and greenery from around the world are stored. Yeah, man, it's a great point.
Lambert. 12-year-old Martha Jean Lambert went missing near her home in St. Augustine, Florida on November the 27th, 1985. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Department were left clueless with no body or viable suspects. The case would be shrouded in mystery for the next 25 years. It wasn't until detectives Sean M. Tice and Howard Skip Cole III took one last go on the cold case, decided to canvass Martha's old neighbourhood, speak to her friends and relatives, when they decided to take a closer look at the missing girl's brother David, who was 2 years older than his sister. Now in his late 30s, detectives interviewed David, placing a picture of the young girl on the interview room table as bait. After 20 hours of relentless questioning, the shocking truth was finally revealed. On the night of the disappearance, Martha and her brother went to play at the abandoned Florida Memorial College, which was filled with scrap metal. He states he gave his sister money to go to the store. When Martha asked him for more, he declined. Angry at her brother, 12-year-old Martha hit him. In retaliation, David pushed his sister. She fell backwards, landing on a protruding metal spike, which impaled her skull. Scared, David buried the body in a shallow grave and kept the secret for over 2 decades. David was never charged due to the statute of limitations and other mitigating factors. Martha's body was never found due to construction in the area. Number 1.
Okay, so how do we know what he's saying is valid, though? That's a crazy story right there, man.
Carrie Lynn Nixon. On the night of June the 22nd, 1987, 16-year-old Carrie Lynn Nixon left her home to run an errand for her dad at around 9:30 p.m. However, she did not return home and disappeared within just 700 feet of her home. A massive search began the following day, with authorities believing she'd been abducted by a stranger or ran away. She was very close to her family, which suggested she hadn't disappeared on her own accord. However, her friends claimed she wanted to leave to California or Florida. 3 months after placing missing person posters around the neighborhood, a Utiville resident came forward claiming to have seen her. However, this turned out to be false, along with several other sightings. In March 1991, Carrie's parents viewed a music video by New Kids on the Block and noticed a girl in the audience that looked just like her. Members of the band even spoke out to the girl in their video and asked her to come forward. However, this would also turn out false, as the teenager was not their daughter. Almost 7 years after Carrie vanished, her body was unearthed in a shallow grave a few miles from her home. It was discovered that Carrie had been kidnapped at gunpoint by a man named Robert Anthony Jones, who had been arrested for numerous bank robberies, whom he had carried out with his wife, who drove the getaway car. Jones confessed to the murder to try and get his wife a lighter sentence, and is now serving a life sentence at Sing Sing prison.
There you have it, man. 5 unsolved mysteries that have finally been solved per Weird World. So yeah, man, that was my weird world reaction. Cool content, cool creator. You know what I mean? I like the narration. I like the rotation, which kind of goes into certain depths of stories and kind of at the same time leaving them to still be discovered, for information to still unravel. Wow. A lot of different types of content on this channel. But yeah, let me know y'all's thoughts in the comment section below, man. We've been live for 42 minutes. If you haven't hit the like button, do me a favor, hit the like button. Support me on this platform. Yeah, I plan on doing an additional reaction or a live stream reaction later on tonight. Do me that favor and support me on that. You know, join that live stream 7 p.m. Central Standard Time if you can, around 7, you know. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I can't say it enough. Like, comment, subscribe to the next video.